Please welcome Aspen Institute President and CEO, Dan Porterfield, and Ambassador Michael Froman of Mastercard.
Good morning. Welcome to the inaugural Global Inclusive Growth Summit presented by the Aspen Institute and the Mastercard Center for Inclusive Growth. Please join me in thanking all who've helped prepare this room and our stage and our meals and all whose planning these past few months have made this convening possible. Thank you all. I know I speak for the Aspen Institute Board Chair, Jim Crown, and our Program Strategy Committee Chair, Madeleine Albright, when I thank the entire Mastercard organization for its remarkable emphasis over many years on inclusive growth. We're here today because growing economic inequality and exclusion is one of the defining threats of our time. This is not news. In his great 2005 Trafalgar Square speech, President Nelson Mandela said, "Overcoming poverty is not a gesture of charity, it is an act of justice. It is the protection of a fundamental human right, the right to dignity and a decent life." I look out at you and see action-oriented, purpose-driven leaders who are animated by that same thirst for justice. And that's exactly what's needed to make progress on a challenge that affects us all. We live in an era of rapidly growing prosperity for some and rising adversity for many. We all know that the digital revolution and its offspring, the fourth industrial revolution, have brought wondrous breakthroughs in communications, in healthcare, in business efficiency, in data systems, in automation, in machine learning, in growing access to information and technology platforms. Just looking around the room, we know that so much of that is for the good. For example, it's wondrous that through the tech-enabled lending platform Kiva, led by Neville Crawley, who's here today, any of us can lend $50 to help grassroots entrepreneurs in 78 different countries improve the quality of life, and we can enjoy with that a 97% repayment rate on our investment. It's wondrous to know that organizations like Laboratoria in Lima, led by Mariana Costacheca, who's here today, are preparing low-income women for tech careers and linking its well-trained graduates to jobs with local and global business partners. And it's wondrous to know that when we go back to work tomorrow, we can contact Harambee Youth Employment Accelerator, led by Mariana Iskander, and help young people in Rwanda and South Africa use a high-tech pathwaying platform, as they call it, to connect them to jobs behind a counter at Nando's or at a desk at Deloitte. But the flip side of this revolution is the growing divide between those who are connected to the networks that fuel the modern economy and those who are cut off. The world's richest 1% now own as much as 45% of global wealth, a crisis that will almost certainly worsen as escalating generational wealth widens the divide. We cannot let that happen. We need more family-sustaining jobs, not fewer. We need more community co-ops, not fewer. We need more activated opportunity zones, not fewer. We need more families with savings, not fewer. We need more sustainable farms, not fewer. We need more girls in school, not fewer. All of that is part of building a more inclusive economy. It will take smart policies, enlightened businesses, new financial instruments, honest government, empowered communities, and activated citizens. Things are pretty disjointed now, but one thing is certain: we need change. We must make our economy more inclusive so that the benefits of growth extend to all people and all communities, which means removing barriers to work, education, childcare, health, safety, opportunity, local empowerment, and economic dignity. It means unleashing the power of innovation and investment and partnerships and policy and data for good. It means marshaling our collective resources to drive economic growth that is sustainable. And sustainability means addressing the twin scourges of climate change and structural discrimination based on identities. It means addressing and accessing again the language of ethics and never letting ourselves forget that all humans have equal dignity and no one is more human than anyone else. To say it simply, if economic growth is only enjoyed by the few, it won't be sustained by the many, and that's bad for all. So we must have inclusive growth. That's why we're here today. It's a big part of why the Aspen Institute is here, period. Our purpose is to promote a free, just, and equitable society. For 7 decades, we've driven change by reaching across the supposed divides of politics and place, of identity and ideology, to bring together thinkers and doers committed to solving our greatest problems. We're partnering on this summit with Mastercard's Center for Inclusive Growth because we want to work with and learn from others who are obsessed with creating inclusive, growing economies, local, regional, national, and global. We all know that you share that obsession too, and it's such an honor to be with you today and to be with Mike Froman from Mastercard, whose leadership has been this summit's launching pad. Thank you so much, Mike.
Thanks, Dan. And we are so pleased at the Mastercard Center for Inclusive Growth to be co-hosting this with the Aspen Institute, our first, what we hope will be a regular global inclusive growth summit. Why are we here and why now? Because we're at a particular moment in history, one where this issue has never been more important. We've seen more poverty alleviation, more improvement in human development indicators over the last 70 years around the globe than any time in human history. But the benefits of those improvements have not always been broadly shared. People, not only in this country, but in countries around the world, feel like the system has left them behind, that there's been too much inequality. They're questioning fundamental institutions. They're questioning our political system. They're questioning our economic system. And many of these questions are good questions, and they require urgent attention. And there's been no better time in history for us to devote our attention to these issues. We at Mastercard have been focused on these issues for some time. 12 years ago, we created the Mastercard Foundation, an independent foundation focused on education and job creation for youth in Africa, now one of the largest foundations in the world, and we're delighted that Rita Roy, head of the foundation, will be here today with us. 6 years ago, we created the Center for Inclusive Growth, ably led by our own Shamina Singh, to be a thought leader and to drive programs in this area. Last year, we took $500 million of the 2017 tax cut and committed it to inclusive growth, including by creating the Mastercard Impact Fund. And along the way, we have tried to align our business, how we manage around purpose. We're working with Gavi and the Global Fund to use our technology to help them deliver vaccinations and better health care. We're working with UNICEF to help families manage the payment of school fees, to keep kids in school so that they can graduate. We're partnering with Unilever to digitize the relationship between micro merchants and Unilever and a local bank so that those merchants can begin to get credit and participate in the financial system. We're working with M-COPA to speed the deployment of off-grid solar installations. We're working with Levi's and other major brands to begin to digitize the garment workers and give them an on-ramp to the financial system. And we're doing the same with Neumann's Coffee, one of the largest coffee traders in the world. And in fact, the coffee that you're drinking outside comes from coffee growers who will soon be put on a digital platform that will allow them to sell their product more efficiently and for a better price to market. I hope during this breaks that all of you will have a chance to look at some of the demonstrations outside by a number of our partners as well. 4 years ago, we committed to bring 500 million individuals into the financial system, unbanked and underbanked individuals. And as we achieve that goal, we're focused now on what the next step is towards financial security. This includes how we use data insights to promote inclusive growth in cities and in rural areas, how we employ our technology to support the future of workers, and how we grow our understanding of ecosystems and promote data science for social impact. And we do all of this in what's rooted in what we call DQ, or the decency quotient. It's not enough to have IQ and EQ anymore. It's important to have DQ, which goes to not only how we treat our employees, not only to our commitment of inclusiveness and diversity, but also how we treat our customers, our partners, and the communities in which we operate. The health and welfare of those communities matter to us. And that's because fundamentally we thrive in thriving economies. And if there's one lesson to be learned right now from the past few decades, it says, as Dan said, that there's the only truly sustainable growth is inclusive growth. And that poses a series of challenges, serious challenges that can't be solved by governments, nonprofits, or philanthropies alone. Challenges that require collaboration and partnerships, and challenges that require not only thought leadership, but real action. And that's why we're so excited to be partnering with the Aspen Institute, because of all of its policy, leadership, and convening assets. Together, we have the capacity to bring together thinkers, leaders, advocates, and very importantly, actors who have real impact on inclusive growth. Our intention is that this summit will become a regular event and a cornerstone of a broader partnership with Aspen that not only facilitates the discussion of inclusive growth, but mobilizes real action. And that's why we're excited to see all of you here today, because each of you have so much to contribute, not only to the discussion, but very importantly, to this agenda of action. We're looking forward to hearing some of the announcements later today, and we look forward to working with all of you and people who couldn't be here today to launch new partnerships, launch new initiatives, take action together that will have a real and meaningful impact on the challenges of inclusive growth. We're all in. The Aspen Institute, I know, is all in. We're delighted that you're all in with us as well. Thanks very much.
Did you ever stop to think that you can't leave for your job in the morning without being dependent on most of the world? Yes, as nations and individuals, we are interdependent.
Before we are billions of people, or thousands of cultures, or hundreds of nations, we are one interdependent human race, living in transformational times, an age not only of progress, but paradox, an age of connection and division, of extraordinary opportunity and existential threat, of unprecedented abundance and widening inequality. For some of us, it is the best of times. For some of us, the worst. For all of us, it is time to come together. Today we have the tools to tip the scales, level the playing fields, and bring everyone into the game. If we act as one, we will rise as one. Before we are storytellers, change makers, innovators, thinkers, and doers, we are one, with one purpose and one question to ask ourselves. Are we all in? Because we are all in this together.
We are all caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny, and whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly.